Tonight we have 3 performers ready to show you excerpts from larger shows that they've been working on. We'll have Diana Lauren Jones, followed by the former director of the Marsh Risings program, Sharon Eberhard, and of course the Marsh's own octogenarian Houston Robertson rounding out the evening. So very excited for this lineup. So up first we have Diana Lauren Jones with an excerpt from Dear Gender. As an actress, Diana has worked commercially, off-Broadway, regionally, in voiceover, and independent film. Dear Gender is her first go at solo performance, and this summer she will play roles of Cordelia and the Fool in the San Francisco Shakespeare Festival's production of King Lear. She holds a master's in public administration, has lived in Mozambique, and also loves to swim. So let's turn it over to Diana.
Thank you so much, Alexa. I loved, first and foremost, the way you said Mozambique. That was beautiful. Let's see, what else can I share? This piece, let's say I have taken some painstaking, fairly ambitious actions to attempt to adapt it for this unique format and position in which we find ourselves. So without further ado, I hope that you enjoy my go at being a tech-savvy human being and this excerpt from Dear Gender. Do you ever wonder why you are the way you are? How you specifically came to be? How I be I, and you be you, and she be she, and he be he, and we, well, we be we. If not, I recommend it, and not for some two-bit high-flying cheap thrill, but as a means of survival. Growing up keeps going. And my parents taught me well enough to know that now, since we're all adults, I am responsible to keep raising myself. I am grateful, but without some introspection, what parents show and tell you of the world can resign you to life lived by someone else's rules, by someone else's ideals, you as a character in someone else's journey. You see, I grew up on Disney princesses and Jesus. My father, a big brown teddy bear of a man with an impressive mustache, used to tuck me in at night and tell me bedtime stories that were all about me. And the little girl would run very fast through the beautiful forest, and when she reached the top of the tree, she stretched, looked up into the sky, and fell fast asleep. Good night, little princess. Good night. And with one eye open just a crack, I watched my father slowly leave the bedroom and shut the door. I'm a princess. Me. Can it be? Oh, I'm a princess. Me. Wow. Oh my. I can hardly believe this is true. Well then, there's so much to do. I'm a princess. It's no wonder that I didn't suspect. Our castle, if I'm being honest, is, well, more than just modest. But my daddy, who knows everything, calls me princess. So it must mean just one thing. My daddy's the king, and my mommy's the queen. My little sister's a princess. Ooh. My brothers, well, they are princes. And our cat, well, she must be royalty too. I'm a princess, I'm a princess, I'm a princess, I'm a princess in suburban New Jersey. Now that I know there's so much to do, I, Diana Lauren Jones, do promise to be the best princess in Somerset, New Jersey, ever. Amen. My religious upbringing included 3 Christian church communities, and by extension, the story of Jesus in absentia, told by 3 distinct narrators. There was Jesus, introduced by this sort of soft-spoken Mr. Rogers figure from the Presbyterian church where my family took us almost every day of my childhood. My fellow audience members were a lot of nice folks milling about after service, drinking red juice out of little plastic cups and eating fake, store brand Oreo cookies. This was the congregation that sang proudly of key during all the hymns. Then there was the story of Jesus told by a somewhat dandy, pomp and circumstance narrator who took the stage at the all-girls private school that I attended until I was about 16 years of age. This version of Jesus was always important, but you didn't see him very often because he was always in meetings, always with adults, and always keeping kids and their grubby little hands at least 15 feet away. And then there was this larger-than-life Jesus brought to you by the Baptists who, despite my best effort, scared the bows off of my socks. Imagine me, 6, 7 years old, sitting in the pew, and I'm getting uncomfortable and scratching because my tights are itchy, and the man is preaching to his congregation, a sea of mocha faces on the color scheme, saying, Jesus will save you. I said, Jesus will save you. And I'm playing with the envelope in the church pew and that little pencil that they keep in the back of the seats, eyeing the rest of the folks and adults next to me, getting loud, and it's too hot, and I'm still itchy, and it's loud, and I'm still itchy, but Jesus, I said, Jesus will save you, Jesus will save you. And I am getting more and more afraid and feeling more and more small, like I am in trouble, and I am wishing that I am back at home, listening to my daddy's story, wishing that this man, Jesus, wasn't talking directly to me. So, here we are. When I was about 9 or 10, a little girl asked me if I was a boy or a girl. A proud tomboy, I was wearing my favorite baseball cap, peace, love, and Mickey Mouse. Girl, I said plainly, showing at least, I thought, none of the embarrassment and anxiety that asking this question truly caused. You see, sometimes I think if me, this mind and the things I think I could be weren't housed in a woman's body, I wouldn't have all this crap in me, all this excess thought about what I shouldn't do and what I ought to not say or want or think. Like maybe the reason I can't seem to settle down and keep my feet on the ground and walk forward instead of treading imaginary water is because I should have been a son instead of a daughter. You know, maybe with one of those pieces, a penile navigation device, I wouldn't be strifing my way through life. With one of those tools that'd be like a guaranteed stamp of approval in that clause regarding life strife removal. I wouldn't be scared of anything. You see, I want to smack asses as I walk by. I want to be an ass grabber, and I do what I want and say what I mean, woman, like a man, but a woman. And I realize for me, this mess of confusion really isn't about changing my sex, but it's this idealized version of masculinity that's got me perplexed. I am afraid to be a woman the wrong way. A man can stand his ground. A man can just be a man. I've never heard anyone say, be a woman. Because what is that? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. Oops, is mine unmuted? There we go. Thank you so much, Diana. I want to say first that I loved your use of space and the costume changes. The costume changes were such a great way to kind of set the scene, especially when you don't have something like light transitions, you know. And everything felt so grand, you know, and big, and kind of perhaps the way that you would see things like as a young kid, you know, just things are larger than life. So that was really, really cool. And also I have to say that the shadow in the background was very symbolic, like two sides of you, or, you know, kind of representing questions you were faced with, like, are you a boy, are you a girl, you know. So I thought that you did a great job, really, performing this piece and getting that message across. So thank you for that. So up next we have Sharon Eberhardt with an artsy excerpt called Squeaker. She doesn't go to museums. She doesn't get abstract art and would never hook up with the hot guy in art history class. But now they're at the Modern Art Museum together. And her shoes are squeaking. Let's hear it for Sharon.
Squeak. Squeak. Something's going on with my shoes. It's freshman year. I'm meeting a guy from art history class at the museum to do a formal analysis. I try to walk different. I put the foot down flat. Squeak. Or go on the side. Squeak. Nothing works. He's up ahead. He stands out. Really, he fits in better here than in class. Tall, good haircut, nice clothes, nothing a weird color or the wrong size, because that's what was on the clearance rack. No shoes saying, look at me, squeak, doesn't fit in, squeak. He looks over at my shoes. They haven't done that before. Maybe it's a special floor, an installation, bringing awareness of sound, questioning who decides what is art and how we take it in. He sounds like our professor. I can't join him in sounding like that. I stumbled into art history thinking it would mean less reading than English, not realizing it's like a foreign language. Harder. I can learn 2 words that mean the same thing, but not all these words that sound the same but mean opposite. Like objective, subjective, perspective, impressionist, expressionist. They get jumbled up in my notes and mean nothing after. I flail for something to say. Have you been here before? I used to come with my grandma. She teaches art to people with disabilities. Is that why you know so much? Is that what you want to do? Teach? No. I was doing economics at Montana State, but I skied and partied too much. So now I just need a good GPA so my parents will keep paying. I could never teach to be so hated by so many. You? Education major. I can see that. You're serious. Your hair's come out. He reaches over and just pushes my hair behind my ear. Could I ever be that confident to just reach over and touch him? Does this mean it's a date? He walks over to a sculpture. It's like a giant paintbrush with sticks hanging off. How about this one? It's phallic. He smiles like it could be a date. I look for the label. It says it's by Louise. I don't say the last name. I've gotten in trouble before trying to say words that I know from books, only to find out that my personal way of saying them doesn't match the official. Who knew that Segu was supposed to be Segway and eschew. So I say, it's by a woman. That could be good. She's always going on about women's work and breaking down barriers. Good idea. You're smart. I'm in your bio section. I always see you taking notes. Could I borrow for the midterm? I'll just snap them. Not a date? He takes out his phone. I'll do this one. You can keep going. I'll catch you later. There's a giant painting, like bright red and deep blue. It's so big, it's got its own bench. Squeak. A security guard looks over. Squeak. An old couple take the bench and glare. I turn and look at what's there. A small painting. Philip Guston, white. It's abstract. No jigsaw puzzle picture forms itself. Just paint. A painting. Shapes, curves, lines like crossing out. Soft colors, like in nature. But not a fiery red sunset. It's gray and tan. A little blue-green, like faded eucalyptus leaves. Colors I might use if I were an artist. 3rd grade. The art teacher pushes in her cart of supplies. The project is masks, like Native American, and as my friends are reaching for the markers and paint in bright Roy G. Biv colors that make all our projects look exactly the same, I think someone, an artist, might do it as the Iroquois did and use colors they would. So I cut out a fox face, color in pale, brown, dark black eyes and silvery whiskers. Find sun-faded orange construction paper to cut like a robin's feathers and tack on for decoration. It's different from everyone else's, distinctively my own. Then at parent-teacher conference time, my mom gets a note to see the art teacher who says, I'm afraid she may be depressed. Her work is pale, small, and gray, and she shows her the mask. I try to explain to my mom, I had an idea. She says, could you just use some color next time? Do you know how embarrassing that was to have her ask if something's going on at home? But here is a muted palette vindication, holding its own in one of the best collections in the world, our professor said. He didn't care what people thought. He painted whatever this meant to him. These shapes, they don't correspond to anything in the real world, but they must have meant something. They're not letters in English or Chinese. Or maybe if I look long enough or Google it, I could find out what they mean and read it. Or maybe I'm already reading it, talking to it, because he must have stood up for what he thought, what it meant to him, and not cared what other people thought. I imagine my art teacher or mom, couldn't you add a little more color? How about a different title so people know what you're trying to say? I half laugh out loud. He's right there. Were you here the whole time? I went all the way through and didn't see you. I guess it's hard to notice anything next to a Rothko. Is that what you're doing? No. This one. Huh? I never saw it. Kind of dentist's office. Not my dentist. I mean, they wouldn't put it here if it wasn't good. My grandma says she wouldn't house train puppies on some of the things here. You know, you didn't have to ask me here just to get my bio notes. If you think I'm such a teacher, I didn't say that. It was a joke. My grandma says I could be smart if I could ever not be a smart ass. Do you want to get coffee? I have to do my formal analysis. I focus on the painting. It's subtle, abstract, revolutionary. Sometimes it takes courage to be quiet, pale, to be who you are. Take a picture. You can do it later. I'll buy coffee. My bad. Maybe. I don't want him to see my face. Oh, fuck it. You know, I'll be a teacher. Not a professor, but with kids when they're little and they still have ideas, and it's important not to squelch them. Because I know not about museums and art, but what it feels like. An idea in your head before it gets on a wall. That's what makes a difference. What? Is my hair sticking up? No. I wanted to see what it felt like. They don't use people hair for paintbrushes. Do they? No, it's like sable, pony. We're too coarse, too rough. Maybe we should try it sometime.